The ringing of the bell signals the beginning of yet another opportunity for these learners who have a deep thirst to acquire knowledge. Ikonyero Non-Formal Education Center is one of the several non-formal education centers supported by Literacy for All, Lifa, a community-based organization operating in Kakamega. Lifa was born after Access, African Canadian Continuing Education Society, a non-governmental organization running projects on education in Kakamega, carried out a baseline survey on the status of education. The survey revealed that many children of school-going age were not in class for one reason or another. This issue raised great concern among education stakeholders in the region.
Lifa started as a literacy project of a non-government organization called Access, that is African Canadian Continuing Education Society. They did a survey that was 1999, and they realized there was 10,000 children and youth out of school. So they sort of starting centers where they will offer just numeracy skills to the learners. Then in 2001, that little project was transformed to a community-based organization called Lifa, where now basically we're dealing with children and youth out of school between the ages of 8 to 17. So basically, Lifa is there to address the need of education for children who cannot access education in the formal education.
Indeed, if it were not for this intervention, most of these learners would have been condemned to the world of illiteracy. Touched by the revelation of this scenario on the ground, different church denominations and the provincial administration played crucial roles in mobilizing the community members and resources to address the situation.
Kwa kanisa tulikuwa na shida nyingi sana. Habari ya umasikini mingi. Watoto hawakuwa wakienda kwa shule. Manake kwa area hii kuna mayatima na wale ambao hawakujiweza kwenda kwa shule. Na tulikuwa na udhaifu kwa miji nyingi, hata yetu ya Wakristo.
Mimi binafsi kama assistant chief nilijaribu kumobilize wananchi, nikawaharifu umuhimu ya elimu. Manake humu kwa sababu location yangu hapa kuna mayatima wengi na kuna watoto ambaye walikuwa wamepita umri ya kuingia darasa la kwanza hata nursery.
Concerned about the future of their children, communities in several locations in Kakamega district initiated non-formal education centers in their localities that would cater for learners. This followed numerous sensitization meetings carried out by Lifa staff. These meetings were held in response to the results of the baseline survey. Before the entry of free primary education, many parents couldn't afford to take their children to school due to the high prevalence of poverty in the district. Most households had to choose between taking a child to school or getting food on the table. Most opted for the latter. The churches realized they had an obligation in the matter since their members are the same ones facing these difficulties in educating their children. The churches accepted to host these centers within the church premises. Some churches had few buildings in their compounds. This forced the non-formal education centers to use the main church building as classrooms during the weekdays, while the churches take over in the weekends for worship meetings. The interest these centers generated was overwhelming. The demand for admission at the center forced Lifa to devise a stringent method of enrollment that would ensure only the most needy cases were admitted. The centers were popular with the community members because they neither charged fees nor demanded uniforms. To cap it all up, there was free medication.
We rely with the chief, assistant chief, and the community or the church, whereby we circulated the forms through the chief or the church. They circulated the community. So the parent has to fill, or the guardian has to fill the form, whereby we check even if the child has been immunized, we check the cards, the chief confirms, the assistant chief, and the village elder. So they confirm, they bring the form back, then I check whatever the information has been written, then I enroll the pupil here at the NFE cell.
The cooperation and goodwill from the community encouraged Lifa to seek ways of providing the knowledge that these learners craved for. It was for purposes of fulfilling this mandate that Lifa reached out to other donors and partners to meet this project's goals. Lifa responded to an advert in the dailies that Care Kenya had placed that was seeking to work with Care Kenya in basic education. Their bid was successful, and Lifa became one of the 10 fellows included for support under the Basic Education Fellowship (BEF) project in 1997. Under the partnership, Care Kenya was to support Lifa in the areas of capacity building for Lifa project staff, the non-formal education teachers, center management committees, and in curriculum development.
BEF has helped in training of teachers. As you know, teachers are the main people to transform knowledge. They have trained center management committees where now the community participates actively. They talk of their own project. They have also helped in supply of teaching and learning material. Now at least the quality of learning has improved. They have also been able to build the capacity of staff to be able to manage funds well, to implement the programs well, plan, and even write proposals to fundraise for the organization.
Then we write it in our books, isn't it?
The multi-grade methodology is one of the key initiatives that Lifa started at these centers. The methodology is very feasible as it addresses the key area of optimum use of resources. The methodology enables one teacher teach more than one class at a time. It also allows the integration of learners of different ages and abilities in one class.
Multigrade as a methodology has really given me a chance to handle 2 classes at a go, simply because when one teacher is absent, I cannot just let the other class to hang, but I come in to assist. I know they are of different abilities, and so I, as a teacher, I have to implement that methodology. And also it works when we have less manpower.
In this methodology, learners use slates during class exercises. This was introduced deliberately to help learners develop writing skills faster and also to save on the cost of teaching materials.
A slate is another methodology we are trying to incorporate with other methods of teaching, and to use these slates for the purpose of the learner to improve the handwriting and the arrangement of the work. You see, their muscles have to be built for them to be able to lay that eye-hand coordination. And you see, we don't mark the work that is written on the slates, but what we normally do is that we check what the learner has done, we correct, and then we tell them to transfer the work from the slate to the exercise books for record purposes.
Celestine Muchezi is an orphan aged 17 years. She is one of the learners who benefit from the multi-grade methodology. Despite her age, Celestine is all smiles as she sits next to younger learners in class. She participates fully in class exercises without the slightest excuse of embarrassment. She is an above-average student. Her performance is perfectly reflected in the end-of-term tests. This is the score she got in the CRE test. Lifa has opened the world of knowledge to her, and no doubt she is extremely grateful and excited. Being an orphan, her grandmother had sent her to a relative in Kakamega to work as a house help so that she could meet her personal needs and also support her siblings. The survey Lifa had conducted also revealed that to retain these learners in the centers, there was need to address the other problems of nutrition, hygiene, and health. These factors also contributed to the high school dropout rate or failure to enroll at all. Lifa, through donations from a board member, started to distribute medicine for various ailments to the learners at the centers. Some of the medicine provided included multivitamins, malaria tablets, paracetamols, and Whitefield for those learners with skin infections. Arrangements were also made to remove jiggers from their toes. Uji program was started at the centers to supplement the lack of proper nutrition at home. It had been realized that most learners, especially orphans, hardly ate anything at home. The porridge is provided to all learners without discrimination.
Most of our learners comes from very poor families. They come from home when they have taken nothing. Most of them even sleep on empty stomachs. So when they are in school, we decided that it is better for them to take uji so that they can concentrate in class. Also, to retain them, they like school because at home there is no food. When they come to school, they get a cup of porridge, so he or she will like coming to school.
As the teacher in charge of the uji program, he usually takes the porridge with the learners. This assures the learners that the porridge is good as a nutrition supplement. Lifa supports the program, but parents and guardians also contribute 10 shillings and maize when they harvest from their farms.
Hiyo uji inaletwa na shule. Sasa tukifika mwezi wa 8, wasasi tunatoa mahindi korogolo 4.
For the project to run effectively and implement all the activities planned, Lifa put in place a properly coordinated approach.
We go to the field oftenly, where we have teachers, the ones we've employed by Lifa, and we also have what you call center management committees. So our link is through the center management committees and teachers at the center.
Indeed, this strategy of working with and through the community has enabled the community to own the project and to manage the non-formal education centers as their own. At Ematsai Center, one management committee member donated part of his land to be used in the future for construction of a learning center. This was after it became apparent that the ball church facility they were using was not sustainable. They felt that a new management would probably not allow them the use of the facility. On many occasions, the learners are sent home and learning interrupted to give room for other church functions.
Na tukafika kwa nafasi ya kwamba tupate mahali tunaweza kupata kiwanja ambacho tunaweza kujenga shule baadaye kitakuwa. Mimi mwenyewe nilikitolea, nikatoa eka 1 kutoka kwa shamba yangu. Na sikutaka kutoa ni wake tu niseme ndio shule ndio hii. Tulishirikiana na watu ya Lifa, nikasema iko nitakitoa nitoe shamba. Nataka niifanye iwe property ya Lifa.
To guarantee the ownership of the land and guard it against any legal tussle in the future, Lifa gave money so that the property can be transferred to the organization. Mzee Chunge proudly presented the title deed to the vice chairperson of Lifa at their offices in Kakamega. This was initially the building at Ball Mission where Ematsai Non-Formal Education Center was situated, but it burnt down and the center had to relocate. They found refuge in this building, but since it was not partitioned, the parents contributed some money to be used in partitioning using papyrus mats, thereby creating 7 classrooms. It is such tragedies that made the center management committee to think about having their own property. Some communities are already utilizing the fundraising and proposal writing skills provided by Lifa. The Center Management Committee at Ematsai Non-Formal Education Center has already written a funding proposal to some well-wishers to enable them build classrooms at the donated land. Lifa has a board that continues to play a very critical role in providing the needed direction that is necessary for the smooth running of its programs.
The role of the board is to make policies for Lifa and oversee that they are followed. And recruitment of Lifa employees. We also have to deal with the disciplinary issues of the employees, fundraising, advocacy, partnership and networking with other organizations, the government organization, NGOs, CPOs and others.
Exercise. We have got 4, 5.
Indeed, to achieve its goals, Lifa collaborated closely with different organizations, including the Ministry of Education.
We look at Lifa as one of the organizations that is actually helping in the ministry policy of enabling children to access education and also to help them go through the primary school education. So we work with them because they're just working in line with what the ministry expects. that all the children should be able to go to school and learn. We give them a lot of support in terms of their programs. When they come up with a program, we work with them hand in hand so that we achieve that goal.
Through the collaboration with the ministry, Lifa has been able to link its learners with the formal school system so that they're able to sit for the national examinations.
We've visited those centers just to ensure that they're actually giving them the right kind of information and giving them the encouragement. We've also we've sat with them severally to discuss the way forward for these non-formal centers, even to enable them to link up with the formal centers and help these children sit for even KCPE exams. And they have even presented to us some of the girls and boys who have performed well, and they want them to get to the formal centers to sit for the KCPE.
But before such learners join the formal system, they have to be assessed as to their academic abilities. These centers run termly written exams or tests for assessing the learners, after which they are awarded with end-of-term report cards. Learners who have been linked to the formal schools are reportedly performing better than their peers who have been in the formal sector since the beginning.
Mimi naona hata hapa watoto wanafanya vizuri kuliko hata kule primary school ya serikali. Manake nisha angalia hata report cards za hawa, nimesha jaribu kuongea na wanafunzi na ukienda primary school sahi vile tuko na free and compulsory education ya primary, watoto wengi wa primary hawawezi kunijibu vile hawa wanafunzi walikuwa wananijibu hapa, na performance ya hawa inafanya mzuri sana.
The good performance is attributed to the adoption of reflect methodology. This is an approach to adult literacy which fuses the educational theories and principles and the practice of participatory rural appraisal in education delivery. In this methodology, participants construct their own materials in reflect circles, that is, learning groups leading to a strong ownership of the issues that come up. To maintain the high standards, the center teachers follow up the learners and have formed partnerships with teachers in the formal schools. The partnership with Care Kenya has no doubt helped Lifa meet its goals in the project.
Well, there are quite a number of successes that we've achieved through support of BEF. One, we've seen parents come and mobilize resources locally to build structures in the communities. Even in the advent of free primary education, we are seeing parents come together, communities, the assistant chiefs, church leaders coming together to pull resources together towards the non-formal education centers. So we've seen different aspects of resources coming in from the community, not necessarily money. And the children have been able, we've seen more children enrolling from the community that were not in formal school. So at least we've seen more than 1,200 children receive basic education. We've linked, like last year we linked 97 children. I'm sure if non-formal education centers were not there, these children it would have been very difficult for them, and they're performing very well. In fact, some have gone like 3 to 4 steps ahead when they're taken to formal primary schools.
Today, the learners at the centers have access to teaching and learning materials that has improved the quality of basic education being offered at the centers. Some 436 textbooks, 50 desks, a carton of chalk, 21 bells, 300 pencils, and 20 cartons of exercise books have been distributed. The learning environment has greatly improved. The learner-desk ratio is now 1:4. Previously, the learners used to sit on the floor and write on their knees. The teachers are highly motivated due to the trainings they have received, especially in multi-grade methodology. That has also helped in the optimum use of the scarce resources, both human and material.
Now, if I put them together, now
the teachers are now united in their approaches and consult every day through a review of the day's activities. Such meetings also help them to identify any special cases that arise that need personalized attention towards the learners. Lifa has also developed a curriculum that now enables the learners to link with the formal school. The training on collaboration and networking has enabled Lifa to reach out to other institutions to improve the quality of its curriculum. Towards this end, a workshop was held at Lifa and facilitated by lecturers from Western University College of Science and Technology to develop a curriculum for a diploma in non-formal education. The University College expects to start offering the diploma course with support from Lifa. Although the project has brought a lot of hope to the community members, there remain several challenges to be surmounted.
So we have got early marriages in girls, stroke pregnancy, which is also a problem that makes our girls to drop out of school, not to continue with the basic education we are offering. We have got learners with disabilities, maybe physical and mentally handicapped, and also those ones that are stricken by HIV, AIDS.
Also, we have a problem in space for expansion. For example, when we reach another level, we have to build and we have limited space.
Because the church facilities that are used by the centers as classrooms are also used for other church functions, the learning materials, including textbooks, have to be locked in metal boxes and kept in a neighboring home for security. The storage inside the metal boxes protects the textbooks against wear and tear. Despite these constraints, Lifa continues to forge ahead in its activities as it endeavors to create the enabling environment for quality learning. The organization has put in place certain approaches that will enable the project to be self-sustaining.
One thing we've done to make this project sustainable is to start income-generating projects that are community-initiated. Each project has its own income-generating project. Like, for example, we have those that have just planted maize. They want like the feeding program from the plantations. They'll be able to sustain like their feeding program. They'll also be able to get money if at all it's building of more structures. They'll be able to get funds from that and be able to build more structures. We've also seen where the community has, as a whole, not in terms of parents. So in terms of capacity building, involving parents and capacity building them in terms of resource mobilization, we can see them come together, pull resources together, not necessarily that having a donor coming to give funds. We've also established a good working relationship with the formal primary school. And we saw like this year, formal primary school giving us books that they use. We are also using part of their buildings. So we are kind of sharing resources. So we can see resources can be channeled from formal primary school to non-formal centers. And in that aspect, I'm sure we'll be able to sustain ourselves. We've also seen the starting of multigrade. Like last year, we didn't employ any extra teacher, regardless of having one more class or one more level, because we want to cut on cost. We want to remain there, funding to remain there, like for staff allowances to just remain there, but still the services can continue.
Column of ones. Now, if we add 5 to 6, what answer are we going to get?
The organization has also learned vital lessons in working with the communities during the project cycle.
What we've learned that is a key thing to any project implementation. That unless you build the capacity, unless you give people, like you empower them to do activities, it is very difficult to start a project and succeed.
Putting their best foot forward in a folk dance, these learners' faces are beaming with hope, knowing that Lifa will continue to help them fulfill their dreams for the future.
Independent nikue pilot.
As these learners leave for their dwellings, they are sure that they have moved one step closer in realizing their dream of getting education, courtesy of Lifa, with support from Care Kenya.